uh, and I 3-bet in the top left because it has pretty tight stats so far, 17-10, which to me means that he's going to be playing reasonably tight against 3-bets. And he's still opening from the cutoff, so I think he's still going to be opening a reasonable range from the cutoff. Nothing like extremely nitty. Um, so I think my 3-bet is okay. Flop comes King 7-4, and my plan here was to fire a lot of second barrels, even if I don't pick up equity a lot of the times, because I don't think that he's going to have that many kings in his range. Like a guy this tight, I don't think he's defending king jack off or king 10 off out of position for sure. Maybe king queen off. I'm not really sure, but I think a lot of really like tight nitty guys would even fold king queen off to a 3-bet, just because they don't want to get involved. They just want to kind of play it safe and in the hand there. So, because of that, I think a lot of his range for check calling this flop is going to be like eights through jacks, and then potentially like ace queen or something like that. I wouldn't bank my life on him check calling ace queen here, but I think he's going to have a lot of pocket pairs when he calls the flop. So my plan was to fire 2 barrels and then kind of evaluate from there. Maybe if the board ran out, came really good, I might fire 3, but definitely was going to go for 2 barrels there. And then he check raises, and not really sure what he was doing. I don't think I would check raise anything there. But I have jack high, so I have to fold. A couple pretty good hands up top here. I think you can on the top right table. I think you can either check or bet this. I think I decided to bet because there's a fair amount of like good double barrel cards for me. Queen jack, king or ace, obviously for value. It's pretty hard for him to hit this board, and like if I check back, I'm not. He seems pretty passive so far, so I could just. I don't really think I'm going to be inducing any bluffs, so I don't think like checking back my, nut ace high to induce bluffs is a that good of a plan. I don't know. I think just betting makes the hand easier to play, honestly, and if if he bets any turn other than a turn that improves me, then I have to fold. And I really hate that idea, just because he could still have like 7-8, some gut shot or something like that, or some small pair that I could have barreled him off at some point in the hand. So I think I like betting there. Top left table, I briefly considered checking back, but I actually think this is a pretty obvious bet. This guy's only sitting with 40 big blinds, and hasn't raised a hand yet. Looks like he's limped a couple hands or something. So it's pretty likely that he's somewhat fishy. So I think on this board, I'm gonna get called by any pair, any ace, 9-7, jack 10, 10-8, 6-8, 5-6 probably as well. Any diamond draw. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff I get called by that I beat. So I went ahead and bet, kind of with the intention of betting and then checking the turn and then kind of evaluating the river. It kind of depends on the board run out and his bet size. But yeah. And then when he pots the river, I don't think he would ever do this with a 9 or a 7. So the only thing I beat is like a missed straight draw. But I think he's still going to have a lot of diamond draws in his range, or aces in his range. And he's not always going to bet his misstraight draws on the river either. Whereas he's always going to bet, I think he's always going to bet basically any hand better than mine a lot of the time. So I think that's a pretty standard fold. Yeah, it's kind of weird. This guy asked me what I'm doing at 25 no limit. I don't know if he's a Lego member or something, since I post in the forums a lot there. But if he is, hello, noobcake666. It's the mark of the beast in his name. Maybe he's a beast at the tables. I don't know. Um, so I went ahead and donked out top pair here. Pretty standard. On the turn, I I decided to bet again because I think that if I check, first of all, I think if I check, the hand's going to be really hard to play. There's lots of rivers that I don't know what to do. Um, a 5 or 6 make a 4 straight. 7 or 3 pair the board and are well within their range, and could hold them ahead of me. Lots of overcards that like any 10 or jack I kind of hate to see, considering they could float the flop with jack 10 or jack 9, hands like that, and um, even like even like an ace through queen aren't the greatest cards in the world, because it's going to be hard for me to get paid off by worse when those cards come off, and could potentially make them 2 pair with like an ace 8 or an ace 3 type hand. I guess I'm behind ace 8 already, but basically just the river's going to be really hard to play. That's a pretty good turn for me as well. Obviously still since I have top pair, but also because it's going to give hands like 4-5, 7-5, 7-6 another excuse to call again. And really any 7 may call again as well. So I think there's still a lot of worse hands that can call me, and also a reasonably good chance that I still have the best hand. No one raised me on the flop, so I don't think they have monsters. I could be outkicked, but there's only 2 8s left, and lots of other combos of stuff that can call the turn. So I go ahead and bet again. Probably going to check most rivers. I think 3-barreling this for value would be a bit too thin. I don't think a 7 is calling the river here. So